Hi, hello classmate, and to our professor, Dr. Rich Palarca. Today we will discuss Data Privacy Act with my co-partner, Ms. Christine May Batuhanon. But first, let us define what is Data Privacy Act. Republic Act number 10173, it is otherwise known as the Data Privacy Act, is a law that seeks to protect all forms of information, be it in private or personal or even sensitive. It began and held in Metro Manila on Monday, the 25th day of July, 2011. It has been enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the Philippines in Congress assembled. This act it is meant to cover both natural and juridical person involved in the process of personal information. Example of personal data are names, surname, home address, email address, identification card number, even location, internet protocol or the IP address, and etc. So, Data Privacy Act, what does this entail? First, all personal information must be collected for reasons that are specified, legitimate, and reasonable. These requirements aim to ensure that you are clear and open about reasons for obtaining personal data and that what you do with the data is in line with the reasonable expectation of the individuals concerned. Specifying your purpose from the outset helps you to become accountable for your processing and helps you avoid function creep. Second, personal information must be handled properly. Personal information must be handled properly. Information must be kept accurate and relevant, used only for the stated purpose, and retained only for as long as reasonably needed. Personal information must be disposed in a way that unauthorized third parties could not access the discarded data. Third, information must be kept accurate and relevant. Personal data shall be accurate and where necessary, keep up to date. Every reasonable step must be taken to ensure that personal data that are inaccurate having regard to the purposes for which they are processed are erased or rectified without delay. Fourth, use only for the stated purpose. Personal data shall be collected for specified, explicit, and legitimate purposes, and not further processed in a manner that is incompatible with those purposes. Further processing for archiving purposes is the public interest, scientific or historical research purposes, or statistical purposes. Fifth, and retained only as long as reasonable needed. Six, personal information must be discarded in a way that does not make it visible and accessible to unauthorized third parties. Information must be kept accurate and relevant, used only for the stated purpose, and retained only for as long as reasonably needed. The law required entities to be active in ensuring that unauthorized parties do not have access to their customers' information. The Data Privacy Act applied to government, private sectors. Why? Companies are legally responsible for keeping their customers' data protected from third parties or any form of misuse internally or externally. Republic Act RA 10173 provides standards that regulate the collection, handling, and disposal of all personal information. It applies to government. All sensitive personal information must be maintained by the government. Its agencies and instrumentalities shall be secured as far as practicable with the use of the most appropriate standard recognized by the information and communication technology industry and as recommended by the Commission. The head of each government agency or instrumentally shall be responsible for complying with the security requirements mentioned herein, while the Commission shall monitor the compliance and may recommend the necessary action in order to satisfy the minimum standard. And also, it applies to private sector. The employee, agents, or representative of a personal information control who are involved in the processing of personal information shall operate and hold personal information under strict confidentiality if the personal information are not intended for public disclosure. This obligation shall continue even after leaving the public service, transfer to another position, or upon termination of employment or contractual relation. The purpose of this personal data protection is not to just protect personal data, but to protect the fundamental rights and freedoms of persons that are related to that data. While protecting this personal data, it is also possible to ensure the person's right and the freedoms aren't being violated. So the purpose of the Privacy Act is to balance the government need to maintain information about individuals with the rights of individual to be protected against unwarranted invasions of their privacy resulting from the collection, maintenance, use, and disclosure of personal information. The Data Protection Act protects the privacy and integrity of data held on individuals by businesses and other organizations. The Act must ensure that individual customers and employees have access to their data and can correct it if necessary. As an individual, the right to be informed. As a data subject, you have the right to be informed that your personal data will be or being or were collected and processed. The right to be informed covers some of the key transparency. It is about providing individuals with clear and concise information about what you do with their personal data. We call this privacy information. Second, the right to access. Under the Data Privacy Act of 20112, you have a right to obtain from an organization a copy of any information relating to you that they have on their computer database and or manual filing system. The right of this access is commonly referred to as subject access. Gives individuals the right to obtain a copy of their personal data as well as other supplementary information. Third, the right to object. You can exercise your right to obtain if the personal data processing involved in based on consent or unlegitimate interest. When the object or withholding your consent, the PIC should no longer process the personal data unless the processing is pursuant to a subpoena for obvious purpose, contracts, employer relation, and etc., or result of legal obligation. Individuals have the right to have inaccurate personal data rectified. As an individual may also be able to have incomplete personal data completed, although this will depend on the purpose for the processing. This may involve providing the supplementary statement to the incomplete data. So fourth is the right to erasure or blocking. Under the law, you have the right to suspend, withdraw, or order the blocking, removal, or destruction of your personal data. Example, the processing is unlawful and it is being used for purpose you did not authorize. Each individual have the right to have personal data erased. This is known as the right to be forgotten. The fifth, the right to damages. You may claim compensation if you suffer damages due to inaccurate, incomplete, outdated, false, unlawfully obtained, or unauthorized use of personal data, considering any violation of any rights and freedoms as data subject. 6. The right to rectify. You have the right to dispute and have corrected any inaccuracy or error in the data a personal information controller PIC hold about you. The PIC should act on it immediately and accordingly, unless the request is vexatious or unreasonable. Once corrected, the PIC should ensure that your access and receipt of both new and retracted information. PIC should also furnish third parties with said information, should you request it. So as individual, they have the right to data portability. This right assures that you remain in full control of your data. Data portability allows you to obtain an electronically moved copy or transfer your data in a secure manner for further use. It enables the free flow of your personal information across the internet and organization according to your preference. Example, in case you want to close your Facebook account and leave the service, or simply feel like you've shared a lot of information about your life and want a backup of all your Facebook data, you may exercise your right to data portability. It enables the data portability gives individual the right to receive personal data they have provided to a controller in a structured, commonly used, and machine-reliable format. It also gives them the right to request that a controller transmits this data directly to another controller. So for the next chapter, my partner will discuss about the Data Privacy Act, about the business. And that's all. Thank you.